So if you're looking for one of the most authentic rhubarb fragrances, especially at this price, you're absolutely gonna wanna check out Zara's x Jo Malone's Joe's Rhubarb. So let's go ahead and review this one now. Hey, what's going on guys? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel. And if you are new, what I do is I make fragrance related content. So if you love fragrances, go ahead and smash the subscribe button down below. But that's right guys, we're gonna be looking at a Zara fragrance. Obviously this is from the Jo Malone collaborations, which is Joe's Rhubarb. Now, I actually have 5 Jo Malone x Zara fragrances in my collection. Of course, Ebony Wood, which I actually just recently reviewed. You can go check out that one if you're looking for that fragrance. But I also own Water Lily and Tea, Fashionably London, Magnificently Dubai, and of course Joe's Rhubarb. So I do have 5 from the collection, and Joe's Rhubarb is actually probably the most interesting, daring one out of all of them, because this is a very unique fragrance, and we'll talk obviously more about that when we talk about the scent profile and how it actually smells. So let's go over some information about Joe's Rhubarb. This one was launched in 2020. I believe they added this one on after the initial Zara Emotions, and this one is actually number 9. So for the price of Joe's Rhubarb, you can get a 40 ml for $20, or you can get the 90 ml bottle like I have in hand for $40. So it's a phenomenal price value for the quality of juice and the perfumer, which is Jo Malone. If you don't know who Jo Malone is, she's actually the creator of Jo Malone, the niche house, which she's no longer actually there. She actually has her own brand, which is Jo Loves, which I would never actually tried yet, which I would love to, but I do own quite a few from Jo Malone, such as Oud and Bergamot and Myrrh Tonka, which I absolutely love both of those fragrances. So knowing she's behind Joe's Rhubarb, and I love that name, Joe's Rhubarb, kind of like Jo Malone's Rhubarb. Like this would be what, if she would make a rhubarb fragrance, this is hers right here. And just knowing that, and for the price you're getting and the quality, it's definitely pretty much a no-brainer. But of course we got to talk about how this one smells. So let's go over the packaging and presentation of Joe's Rhubarb now. So with Joe's Rhubarb, it actually does come in a pretty nice packaging here. It almost looks like kind of like a book. So on the front, of course, it is an eau de parfum concentration, which is very nice. Just more reasons why you get a good value for what you're buying. Joe's Rhubarb, the 90 ml bottle, of course. Nothing on that side. And then you do have a quote from Jo Malone herself saying, "This delicious scent is sculpted on a base of gray vetiver with bold, strong pine strips of red and green rhubarb. Memorable and delicious. Love Joe." And of course, the retail for when I got it was $35. They have recently upped it to $39.99, I think. On this side, Joe's Rhubarb. And it is kind of like a book. You know how when you have a book sitting here, it does pull out like so. Oh, and on the bottom, of course, you do have your barcode and batch code to authenticate your product and see when it was produced. Now, looking at this, it does come like so, where you pop it up like that, and your fragrance does sit inside. So it does kind of have like a niche kind of packaging, which I just love. Very well done. So for your bottle, it is a very simple, elegant looking bottle. You do have this kind of like paper sticker right here with Joe's Rhubarb Eau de Parfum Zara Emotions, number 9, like I said. Nothing on top of the cap, nothing on the back. On the bottom, you do have a small sticker you might not be able to pick up. This with some information and your batch code. Now the cap, it does not cling into place, but it is at pretty nice weight, but it does hold on snugly so you can pick it up with confidence. So in the notes, you do have grapefruit, vetiver, and rhubarb. Now, just like the Ebony Wood that we recently reviewed, I believe all of the Jo Malone Zara fragrances only list 3 notes. So you're gonna expect it to be maybe linear, not so complex. So let's go ahead and test out the atomizer and spray it on my forearm here. Very nice distribution, guys. Not pressurized, but it does spray pretty wide and you do get a lot of juice. So, oh man, all right. I do pick it up in the air because this is a very sharp, pretty strong fragrance, but let's see what we get. All right, that grapefruit in that opening is done to perfection, guys. It's very juicy, very kind of sour, very sharp, almost tart-like as well. Wow, that grapefruit is so good. But yeah, in that opening, you are just gonna get a burst of juicy grapefruit. So if you are a sucker for a good grapefruit opening, this is one you're gonna wanna check out just on that opening alone. Very well done. So alongside that opening of that grapefruit, the grapefruit does last a pretty decent amount of time, but as it dries down is where you're gonna get that bold, earthy, grassy vetiver. Now the vetiver is also done very nicely in this. The vetiver doesn't really come across like a wet vetiver, even though vetiver is a note that is very complex in and of itself, guys. Vetiver can actually come across like a million different ways, which I just love about it, guys. It's just so complex, so different. It's always unique. In this one, it's very earthy, dry, and kind of grassy-like. And I actually own quite a few vetiver dominant fragrances, and this one does smell very different with the vetiver note alone. I have vetivers that smell wet. I have vetivers that smell dark and earthy. I have vetivers that smell dry and cold. This one just smells very earthy and grassy and dry. Now, of course, alongside the vetiver and grapefruit, you do have that rhubarb. Now, like I said, this is a very authentic smelling rhubarb fragrance. I only have a few rhubarb-based fragrances. This one is by far my favorite. Whenever I have that craving of a rhubarb, I always reach for this one. First off, if you don't know what rhubarb is, it's actually a vegetable. It sometimes it can be green, sometimes it can be like red. It's like a long vegetable. And how it actually comes across, it does come across sometimes sweet, and come across very sour, and sometimes even spicy. In this one, guys, it comes across very mouth-watering and very sour. And we'll talk about why I think it's almost like a daring fragrance in a moment, but yeah, that rhubarb is very green, very just mouth-watering, almost like juicy as well, kind of like that grapefruit, almost watery-like. So the rhubarb in this fragrance actually kind of resembles the note of cannabis. So if that kind of scares you or persuades you away, I highly suggest testing this one out before buying it. Even though it isn't a very expensive fragrance, but it does come across like that. I have had people smell this one and say that it does smell like cannabis, like someone smoking weed. It does have that vibe. Now, I do own actually a lot of cannabis dominant fragrances, like Fragrance Du Bois Cannabis Blue, which is a very sour, natural cannabis smelling. I even own Cannabis Intense. I own Hindu Kush by Zara, and quite a few others. But this one, it definitely does come across like a cannabis, sour, green, herbal fragrance. Of course, it doesn't have cannabis listed in the notes, just rhubarb can kind of smell similar to cannabis. And that's why I say it's a very, very daring. It's not a fragrance that, honestly, I would probably wear to even work because of that. I usually wear this one more of on a casual outing. If I'm just going out on the weekend, out to dinner, I would reach for this one, or even just lounging around the house, because rhubarb, I love the note of rhubarb when it's done right. And this one, it is done very, very well. Mouth-watering, watery. I just love it. So yeah, that's what I would typically use it for. Now, as far as the age groups go for this one, definitely more mature leaning, just because of that cannabis similarity to this fragrance. Do not wear this one if you're a teenager or in high school. Definitely more suited for probably anyone like 18 and up, I would say. Would appreciate this one more and just enjoy it more, and won't be in kind of more scenarios where this one just will not work. So yeah, definitely 18 and up can pull this one off perfectly. Now, to me, does this come across masculine or feminine? Honestly, it's right down the middle. This is not a masculine fragrance or a feminine fragrance by any means. Both a man and a woman can rock this one perfectly without a problem. If you love grapefruit, if you love vetiver, and if you love rhubarb, this is gonna be the fragrance for you. And at the price, guys, I can't believe that this fragrance is $40. It smells so luxurious, actually. It smells niche-like because of that daring aspect to it. No designer fragrance smells like this, guys. I'm telling you right now. This is so, so sophisticated. Of course, you would expect that with a name like Joe Malone behind this one, being the nose behind Joe's Rhubarb. So yeah, very nice, very well done. Now, as far as, like I said already, as far as occasions, for me, definitely more of a casual fragrance if I'm just running around, if I'm going out to dinner, if I'm just relaxing at home. That's what I'm gonna wear this one for. Now, as far as seasons go, definitely a spring and summer fragrance, especially the springtime, guys, because you do have that nice rhubarb, vegetable, herbal, green kind of aspects to it alongside the grapefruit and vetiver. All three of those notes work perfect for spring, and just it's spring notes in general, to me at least. Vetiver and rhubarb, spring to the T. Vetiver and rhubarb just scream spring to me, guys. So 100% a spring fragrance, and that's what we're going into now. So I'm going to be getting a lot of good wearings from Joe's Rhubarb in the upcoming months. So now let's touch on performance from Joe's Rhubarb. Now, Zara actually gets a bad rep when it comes to performance, which with this one, it's definitely not above average. I wouldn't even say it's actually average, guys. It's slightly below average when it comes to performance, at least the longevity aspect, because for projection, this actually does project very, very heavily because it comes across very sharp, very tart-like from the grapefruit, vetiver, and rhubarb. It does project very loud for the first 2 hours or so. Then it starts to settle down back on your skin. Now, for the longevity of this one, I get around 4 to 5 hours with this until it just pretty much fades away and you have to pretty much basically stick your nose up to it to get it to smell it at all. And at that point, you're just gonna smell a faded rhubarb note. So yeah, performance slightly below average, but at the end of the day, for $40, or most of the time you get it on sale, it's still worth it in my opinion, just for the scent alone. Like I said, that's why I usually wear it for just chilling at home or just going on a dinner or even maybe a date, stuff like that. It works perfect. Or just walk around in the springtime, fantastic for all of those situations. So yeah, maybe slightly below average in performance, but it's not that big of a deal for me. So would I say this is my favorite from the Zara x Jo Malone line? Probably not. I think Ebony Wood would definitely take that spot, but I think this actually might be my second favorite out of the 5 that is in my collection. It's just very unique. This is much more unique and different than Ebony Wood. Even though Ebony Wood is probably more crowd pleasing, this one, not so much. I don't see many people complimenting this one, but at the end of the day, they actually might. There's nothing really off-putting about it. It just comes across very sour and cannabis-like, so it's not gonna be everyone's cup of tea. Definitely try this one if you're in a Zara, if you have a Zara by you. This one is definitely worthy of giving a smell, pretty much. But that's gonna wrap up my review of Joe's Rhubarb. Let me know down below if you've tried this one or if you tried any from the Zara x Jo Malone collaboration. They actually have quite a few different collaborations, I believe. You have the Zara Emotions, they have the City exclusives, or however you wanna say it. They have quite a few, but yeah, leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you guys haven't already, and I'll catch all you guys in the next upload. Take care, everybody.